Whether the team is giving us the highest of highs or the bluest of blues. We'll cover it all here on Commanders Nightly News. I, of course, am your host, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Let's get to tonight's lead story. You know, I'm a big psyche guy, right? I talk about the mental side of things quite a bit. That's a part of my background. And so I got to thinking about, and I think about this team often, okay? This team probably has a lot more surface area in my brain than it should, especially for all of the losing that has transpired over the last 30 years or so. But I think about this team quite often. And one of the things I thought about, and I think about a lot of you quite often, and I see your comments throughout the course of the day. I'm, walking around doing something and boom, I get a notification. It's another comment. I stop and I look at it. And then I go on about my business. And, sometimes it's a lot of positive stuff. Sometimes it's a lot of negative stuff. Sometimes it's a mixture of both. But, after the Lions lost, a lot of gloom and doom, a lot of negativity. And I get it. This game meant a lot. That game, I should say, meant a lot. In our minds, we built that game up to mean much more than a week 2 matchup versus the Detroit Lions on the road at Ford Field. It was so much more than that. And they didn't get it done. And not only did they not get it done, but it was the manner in which they fell behind. It felt like past, games and situations that we had seen before where this team comes out extremely flat and they looked poorly coached. They looked unprepared and they didn't get it done. And we've seen that movie before. And you get tired of watching the same movie over and over and over again. Now, like we've seen in the past with Ron Rivera coach teams here in Washington, they fought like hell. They made it a game. They didn't quit. And that's something to be proud of. But we can also be proud of a team that comes out prepared like they did against Jacksonville in week 1. That you can also get behind that as well. And you'd much rather see that than what we saw in Detroit. That's not saying much, right? That's a given. But I think where a lot of the negativity came from with that game in particular was that we lost to the Lions. It wasn't how we lost necessarily, and I do think that was a part of it. Some of the silly mistakes that were made, obviously falling behind 22-0 and being dominated thoroughly in the first half in all 3 phases. Having a chance late 3 different times and finding a way to botch it 3 different ways, whether it's the defense not giving us a chance, you thinking, and I don't agree with this, but some of you thinking Ron went for it on 2 for the 2-point conversion, killed the momentum. I don't subscribe to that, but a lot of you do, and that's fine. Again, there's no black or white with the analytics. It's a gray area. That's a preference. That's not universally done across the board. So I understand some of you didn't like the 2-point conversion. That's fine. I disagree. I think that was a good move. But they didn't get it. So it's easy to second guess. Hell, I didn't think they should have gone for it the first time. But I didn't know what they were setting up down the road. So I get it now. And then you score again, and you got a chance to cut it to an 8-point deficit with all 3 of your timeouts, and your field goal kicker misses the extra point. So in 3 different instances, you've got a chance within 1 score after being down 3 scores. You've cut it to 1 score, and 3 different occasions you find a way to botch it in 3 different ways. Frustrating, to say the least. But I think it's more because of who we lost to than how we lost or what the final score was. It's because of who we lost to. If we would have lost 36-27 to the Kansas City Chiefs, would any of you have been that upset? You would have been mad that, oh man, we let a game slip through our fingers. Man, we came out flat. But you would have taken that on the chin like, man, hey, we battled with Kansas City. We're not that bad. It was the expectation of, hey, that's Detroit. We got to beat them. And this is the beauty of the NFL every year. You don't know who's who. We only can go off of what we saw last. And last year, the Jaguars had the number 1 pick and the Lions had the number 2 pick. So both of those teams must suck, right? But if you think about it, Jacksonville had Urban Meyer as their coach last year. It doesn't get any worse than that. Maybe it does. Nathaniel Hackett in Denver might be just as bad. I don't know. To be continued. Stay tuned. However, they were as bad as it gets last year under Herb. And so getting rid of him and getting a Super Bowl winning head coach and Doug Peterson immediately makes the Jaguars a much more viable team in Jacksonville. And oh, by the way, they got some talented football players on that team. They're not there yet. Their roster isn't where it needs to be for them to compete at the highest of high levels. However, they're good enough to compete with just about anybody in the league right now. Just not on a consistent basis. Detroit, yet last year with Dan Campbell, I talked about this, not we. I talked about this on numerous occasions. Hey, Detroit lost a lot of close ball games last year. I talked about this. I said they were 0-6-1 in close ball games last season. Scores that were 7 points or 8 points or less. They were 0-6-1 in those ball games. Easily could have turned their season around had they won a few of those. And they had some heartbreakers. The Minnesota game, the Baltimore game, the Pittsburgh game. They had some heartbreakers. Opportunities galore. They just didn't know how to win. But now you see the growth with that Lions team. They're a better football team this year than they are last year. And so I posed the question, what if the Jags and the Lions aren't as bad as we thought? Does that change the way you feel? Now, again, look, the defense still sucks, okay? That's still something that sits there, whether Detroit and Jacksonville are better than we thought, and that Jacksonville win means a little bit more, and that Detroit loss means a little bit more as well. The defense is still sitting there giving up over 400 yards a game. The defense is still sitting there giving up, what did they give up? 22 and 36. You mash it together, that's 58. You divide it by 2. They're giving up damn near 30 points a game, 29 points a game, over 400 yards of total offense. I talked about this, 8 chunk plays in each of the first 2 games. So they're giving up on average 8 chunk plays per game. There's a lot fundamentally wrong with the defense. I am aware. But what I'm trying to convey to you is maybe that Lions loss, other than the fact that, and again, this you can't ignore anything that we saw. I am totally aware of the fact that it was 22-0 on the road. It shouldn't be 22-0 against any team, let alone the Detroit Lions. But we were down 21-0 to the Buffalo Bills last year in Buffalo. But that's Buffalo. And that's why you're willing to take that, is because, oh, that's Buffalo. We knew we were going to lose that game. But what if the Lions aren't Buffalo? That's not what I'm suggesting. But what if the Lions are as good as, say, in the NFC, I think the Vikings are probably an 8-win team, maybe somewhere in that general vicinity, 8 or 9 wins. The Vikings will be around when we start talking playoffs and we're lining up the teams that are in the hunt. The Vikings will be around. They'll be in that mix. Dare I say the Lions are right on par. They play the Vikings this week. We'll get an opportunity to see. That's family business. I think they're on the same pace right there with the Minnesota Vikings. We'll see. We got the Vikings on the schedule later on in the season. I'd like to think that we'll be a much better team by the time we get to week, 9, I believe it is, when we play Minnesota. I'd like to think that we'll be a much better team by the time we get to week 9 than we were in week 2 when we played Detroit. I really, truly believe that. But all I'm saying is a lot of the disappointment spawned from the fact that it was Detroit. Maybe that doesn't hold the same connotation that it did last year and the year before that. Maybe that means something different now. I don't know. I'm not saying, I'm just saying the bottom line is, did you hear what Amon-Ra St. Brown said? Now, I believe there's more context to this. Just a little bit of the quote that he said was taken and it was thrown up, so it looks like massive amounts of shade. And I know that he feels some type of way. We've already established that. If you watch Hard Knocks, the man has committed to memory every single receiver taken in front of him, and there were like, I don't know, 16 receivers that went before he did in the third or fourth round, wherever he went. One of those receivers was De'Ami Brown. And he was asked something along the lines of, you went against one of the receivers that, was drafted ahead of you. And, how did he fare or something like that? I don't know what the question was. I just saw the quote. And the quote pretty much said, yeah, I don't remember seeing him get on the field very much. Okay. Gotcha. And Amon-Ra had a lot to say this week. He also talked about us being confused in bunch sets and how they knew that they were going to be able to get open. We'll see if that's the case moving forward. But again, there's a narrative out there about Washington. It's our job to change that narrative. We get another opportunity this Sunday. And so with that, we transition to in other news. We heard from Ron. We heard from Carson Wentz. We'll get to that in a second. We have our first injury report of the week. I want to take a look at that. I've got some tickets to give away. Also, if you're a member of the Mob Squad or Patreon, Studs and Duds will be coming your way tomorrow. I finally got a chance to get my hands on the film. I'm still combing through it. If you're a member of Patreon, film will be coming your way tomorrow. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Studs and Duds, as I mentioned, will be coming your way if you're a Mob Squad member or you're on Patreon. So all of those exclusives coming down the pipeline. So hang tight. I'm really thinking about going. If I can squeeze it into the schedule, I really want to do the rookie wall because I think it's going to be really fascinating with no quarterback and all these receivers. Our guy is up there. Garrett Wilson threw his name in the hat. Drake London is starting to make a little bit of noise. I think Chris Olave is going to factor into this thing before it's all said and done. None of of course, Aiden Hutchinson had 3 sacks, so you've got to throw him into that mix now. Trayvon Walker is another guy that's going to be kind of hovering around. So I think it could get really interesting. I'm thinking about doing that, and we'll see. Well, that's something else to kind of throw out there. But in any event, let's check out the injury report for Wednesday's practice. And I actually got a pleasant surprise, and it brightened up my day just a tad bit as we go to the injury report. And as always with Washington, it's much longer than the opposition's injury list. And so Shaka Toney illness, you'd like to think that he'd be ready by Sunday, and we're going to need him. Obviously, with Casey Tuhill being in the concussion protocol, we're going to need Shaka Toney to be ready to go. So hopefully his illness isn't anything serious, but he did not practice on Wednesday. Casey Tuhill, as I just mentioned, in the concussion protocol. Don't expect him to play this week. Daniel Wise, we found out a little bit more from Ron as to what the extent of Daniel Wise's injury is. We'll get to that here in a second, but he's got an ankle sprain. I talked about it on the show yesterday. It's a high ankle sprain, but it's not a severe one. Sounds more like a grade 2, maybe even a grade 1, not a grade 3 ankle sprain, which is great news because if it was a 3, he would be out for a substantial amount of time. So he didn't practice today, and the prevailing thought is he probably won't play this week, but we'll see. Sadiq Charles, shoulder limited. I don't like to hear that, especially with the depth up front being tested. Hopefully he's okay. Same with Trey Turner's quad. He's been dealing with that all offseason. Second day of training camp, he's been dealing with that quad ever since. So he's still gutting it out, but limited today. Cole Holcomb, that quad's sprung up on us last week during practice, so he was limited today. And then Jonathan Allen with the groin full. Cameron Curl back in action with the thumb full. That's great news there. But the best news that we received today in terms of an injury update was Wes Schweitzer with the hamstring going full. Now, as Ron always is quick to tell us, it's not about the day that they go full. It's about how they respond to going full the next day. If Wes Schweitzer is full again tomorrow, I will rejoice. I will be excited, and I will feel a lot better about Chase Roullier's absence. I hate that Chase Roulier is no longer at center. That absolutely kills me because you lose some of that. You lose some of the leadership on the line. You lose the guy that's calling out all of the, the protections and setting everything up. You lose the stabilizing force inside. But Wes Schweitzer is a damn good replacement. And so if he can go, I was in my mind, I was saying, shit, we got to go with Wes Martin. They just signed Nick Martin. I don't want Nick Martin anywhere near the field. And I'd prefer my Wes Martin on standby. Okay. I would prefer my Wes Martin on standby like he was last week. Well, if Wes Schweitzer is full again tomorrow, the likelihood of Wes Martin starting decreases, and the likelihood of him being on standby increases, and that's what I want. So Wes Schweitzer's hamstring, and him being a full participant. Remember, I told you I thought he's going to miss at least 3 weeks with the hamstring because he had a hamstring injury last year. And if you recall, he missed about 3 weeks with that same hamstring. So I was a little nervous. I'm going to reserve my excitement until tomorrow. And if he's full again, then I'll feel a lot better about going into Sunday's game. You go across the way to the Eagles, and again, like always, they got nothing. Okay. Quez Watkins, he's not even hurt. He's just illness, similar to Shaka Toney. He'll be fine more likely than not. Avonte Maddox, back, limited. He's playing. Hassan Reddick, knee, limited. He's playing. So, again, nothing here to see. They got no injuries. They're pretty much healthy. All right, let's do battle. I'm not even tripping about it. So, you already know what it is. We're always more banged up than the opposition. It just is what it is. So, Ron talked about a lot of things today. None of it really noteworthy in my estimation. I was expecting more questions. And, I thought about this when going into his presser. I was like, they have the ability to kind of sway the conversation in whatever direction they want. They can shut something down before it even starts. They've got a PR guy that's there. You usually hear him in the background saying, hey, 2 more. Ron's got time for 2 more. He's the guy that makes sure that these press conferences don't run 30 minutes long. Don't, when they talk to players, it doesn't run any more than 10, 12 minutes. He's that guy. So he also gives the injury report, before the press conference starts. He, in the particular case of today, Ron announced that there was a new sponsor of the team facility and that it was changing names and all of this. And he announced that Ron was going to make a statement before he started, they opened the floor for questions. And he can also say, hey, guys, before he even turns the camera on to record, hey, guys, there was a post by Jamin Davis yesterday on IG. Ron's not taking any questions on that. You want to talk to Ron off the record about that? That's fine. But during his press conference, we're not doing that. It's pretty straightforward. Everybody in attendance understands, and then he won't get any questions on it. That can happen. I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm just saying that could happen. Anyway, I thought he would be asked something along the lines of, the locker room and taking the temperature maybe of some of the players. None of that transpired at the press conference. So I'm glad. I try to stay away from that stuff, but when it's in your face, you got to address it. But they didn't mention it. He even said Jamin Davis played, better against Detroit. I got to watch the film. I can't confirm that nor deny it. And I'm dying to get a look at this film and really comb through it. But he talked about a lot of guys. He was asked about the defense in particular, because really that's the thing that's stopping this team from being 2-0 right now is the defense. I mean, yeah, the offense was terrible in the first half. The special teams was terrible in the first half. I'm not absolving them of wrongdoing. But if the defense is able to stand up, because no matter how you feel about the defense, the offense, and how bad it was in the first half, and it was bad. They didn't get a first down until I think the last drive of the first half, right before halftime. It might have even been until the second half. They had 52 yards at halftime. There weren't many first downs, if any, in the first half. So I am fully aware that the offense was as bad as it gets. Carson Wentz was sacked 3 or 4 times in the first half. Yeah, it was bad. It's real bad. At a safety, it was terrible. However, the defense could have gotten stops, and that's always my thing. And you hear players say all the time, look, no matter where we have to come on the field, how much grass we have to defend, we got to find a way to keep the opposition out of the end zone. And that's just what it is. You got to find a way to, and when it's 3rd and 22, or excuse me, when it's 3rd and 15 or 3rd and 12 or whatever it was, and they throw a check down, you got to rally up and tackle. They should be kicking a field goal. When Jared Goff rolls out of the pocket with 2 left feet and he's looking for a guy to throw the football to, and you're standing right next to the guy that he's throwing the football to, you can't dive sideways. You have to actually jump up, not sideways. The ball's actually going up, not sideways. So you got to find a way to get off the field. And they didn't do that. This defense has to be better. And the beauty of early season overreaction is that there's a lot of football left to be played. There's a lot more time for the defense to get better. Same with the offense. Like, the offense is just scratching the surface. Why can't the defense just be scratching the surface too? I think the addition of Cam Curl is going to help this defense greatly. I think it takes a little bit of the pressure off of the linebacker position, because one of the big issues we've been having early in the season is having to put guys on the field that we don't trust in specific situations, i.e. coverage with David Mayo in particular. We've been having to put guys on the field in some compromising situations because we think it's a run. Well, if you've got Cam Curl, Cam can play the run and the pass. So I think that we may be getting a little bit better in that regard. We may be getting a little bit better in the run game with Cam Curl, who is a guy that does his job really well, especially in the box. And obviously Chase is coming eventually. And I'm not expecting massive numbers from Chase Young when he returns. I'm not expecting him to move the earth when he comes back. But what I am expecting is for him to command some attention on that side and maybe free up some things for other guys along the defense. I am expecting him to help shore up the run defense, because Chase Young plays the hell out of some run. Even when he was struggling against the pass, he plays the run really well, just like Montez on the opposite side. Those dudes play the run. So the defense is allowed to get better. They're not going to stay in this same, space. And look, I don't think they're going to continue on the track that they're on third down defense-wise. They're 28% right now. They're 4th best in the league. We've already talked about this. I don't know if they're going to continue to do that. But if they do, what that says to me is they've got a chance to be a solid defense. We're not looking for a top-flight defense. And so Ron was like, look, Kendall Fuller battled out there. I know a lot of you don't like to hear that. Kendall Fuller this, Kendall Fuller that. I keep trying to tell you guys, Kendall is not as bad as you guys want him to be. No, he's not a top flight corner, okay? But he's a solid number 2 corner in this league. He got beat for a touchdown. It happens, okay? It happens. Guys get beat all the time. Jalen Ramsey has been getting cooked these first 2 weeks of the season. Does anybody think any less of him? He's still a dominant corner, right? Right. So, and he did make a big play at the end of the game when his team needed him the most. So I still think Kendall Fuller is solid. He said he thought Kendall battled. He talked about Derek Forrest in the game. He talked about Bobby McCain in the game and how he thought he played well. Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne inside played well. He thought James Smith-Williams battle. He said Jamin Davis played better. That was the extent of the names he mentioned on the defensive side as far as guys that he thought, really handled themselves well. He's like, look, we just got to be better. Guys got to do their jobs better. They have to put the players in better positions to succeed. But also, when something's called, you just got to go out and execute it to the best of your abilities. Even if the call isn't a great call, make the coach right. Somebody go make a play. And I've been saying this, somebody go make a play. Football is not that damn hard. We make it harder than it has to be. Somebody go make a play. I watch every single game each week. And what I see defensively is one guy making an extraordinary individual effort. And with one of those comes another one, and then another one. And then next thing you know, there's a turnover being forced. A great example of this, the Buffalo Bills on Monday night against the Tennessee Titans. Their linebacker, all right, Tremaine Edmonds, is dropping into coverage, keying the eyes of the quarterback. He's staring Ryan Tannehill down, and Ryan Tannehill staring down Robert Woods in the slot. And as Robert Woods is running this out route, Tremaine Edmonds is following him because that's where Ryan Tannehill's eyes are taking him. And as Tannehill releases that football, Tremaine Edmonds makes an extraordinary play. He dives and lays out to deflect the football that would have been caught had he not deflected it. But he deflects the football. One of his teammates, who happens to be behind the intended receiver, who would have probably tackled him had that ball not been deflected, then tips it himself. And then the other safety, who's trailing on the play, happens to be busting his ass to get over there. And, oh, my God, look what I found. The football. Interception. One extraordinary effort leads to another that ultimately can lead to great things happening, like a turnover. But we don't make that extraordinary play. Somebody's got to go out of their way to be special, and guys are waiting for somebody else to go be special. I see too much of that with this team. Ron said, we got a young team, and we got a lot of young guys who are waiting for someone else to make a play. And Ron always likes to say that play doesn't care who makes it. Well, I give a shit who makes the play. Somebody go make the damn play. I get what he's saying. The play doesn't care who makes it. If you do your job and you do what you're supposed to do, you can make the play, or he can make the play, or he can make the play. I don't care who it is. Somebody make a damn play. That's what Ron's saying. I've been saying that. But I've said this too. Our guys don't seem like they're hungry. They don't seem like they're starving. I watch these games and I'm seeing dudes who are dying to get the football out. I talked about the Falcons playing against the Rams. Late in the game, Cooper Kupp catches a big third down. He's got the first down, and that's going to really put the Falcons in a tough spot. And the guy that got the ball caught on him, you know what he did? He punched that bitch out. No, you don't, Cooper Kupp. You already caught it, but you know what you're not going to do? You're not going to get this first down. Bow. Punched that bitch out, and the Falcons scooped it up, and they had a chance to win the goddamn football game. When's the last time you seen a Washington defender punch at the football? Not necessarily get it out, just punch at it. We don't do it. Guys aren't hungry enough to force turnovers. They're thinking, I got to get this guy on the ground. They ain't thinking about being greedy. In order to take that next step, because there's no way that this defense is going to be elite. That ship is sailed. And we're only 2 weeks into the season. That ship is sailed. We're not going to be an elite defense. But what we can be is a solid defense that has the ability to create turnovers. But in order to do that, you actually have to try and create turnovers. They don't just fall in your lap a lot of times. Okay? Maybe sometimes, most of the time, you got to force turnovers. They don't just happen. Ron talked about this game and the importance of, a divisional matchup. he talks about it all the time. One of the things Ron always preaches is how important it is to win games within the division. He said, in order to be where you want to be, you first must have to win your division. And then after that, you can start to try to attack teams outside of the division. But you play more games inside the division than anywhere else. It's not as much as it used to be when you had 5 teams in each division and 8 of the games on your schedule. So half of your schedule was division games. Not quite as much as it was once upon a time, but still a significant part of your schedule. Still a third of your schedule, right? Is going to be a shade over a third of your schedule is going to be divisional opponents. So you have to find a way to get it done. And especially at home, as Ron said, you got to protect the house in these games because it's so much harder to go on the road and beat a team in the division. You've got to take care of home games within the division. This is a big one. Obviously, the Eagles are off to a 2-0 start. You don't want to fall too far behind them in the standings. If you feel like you've got a legitimate opportunity to keep pace, and look, we don't know what the dynamics of this division are going to be. We thought just a mere 4 days ago, Dallas is going to be ass until Dak comes back. They're 0-2. They're going to lose to Cincinnati this week. They're not beating the Bengals. The Bengals are chomping at the bit to get their hands on Dallas after how they lost in week 1. So Dallas is 0-2. The Giants, they probably will beat Carolina, but, they could slip up. But even if they're 2-0, who cares? Nobody really believes in the Giants quite yet. And if Philly's 2-0, that's fine. They're supposed to be the next team up if Dallas isn't capable of getting it done. And then there's little old Washington just, hovering around doing whatever the hell they do. And so nobody's paying attention to us. So if we want to stay relevant, you want to stay within striking distance, you got to beat Philadelphia. You let them get to 3-0, drop you to 1-2, and beat you at your crib. It puts you in a tough spot, puts you in quite a bind moving forward. So, Carson Wentz spoke, and 2/3 of the questions he was asked had to do with the Philadelphia Eagles. You knew that was going to be the case this week. There was no avoiding it. There was no way around it. I thought the dumbest question that he was asked was, what do you think went wrong in Philadelphia? As if he hasn't been asked that question 5 million times. And do you really think I'm going to sit here and discuss that with you now? Like, dude, come up with a better question than that. Like, some of these reporters, and I get it, you got a story to write, and your story might be specific to what went wrong in Philadelphia, but you're not getting that from him. Like, come on, be smart. Don't waste his time. Don't waste our time. And don't waste one of the questions that can be asked, asking him a question that he's not going to answer. He's already answered that question 5 million times. You want to know what went wrong? I'm pretty sure he's given you some semblance of it, whether it was an indie, or, off the record somewhere, or, an interview somewhere with a news station. Find it. Figure that shit out yourself. Anyway, not a lot from Carson in terms of, the stuff that we normally get from him on a game week, because this is a different week for him. This is Philadelphia. This is the first time he's played the Eagles since being traded a couple of off seasons ago. So, or last off season, I should say. So, this is a big one for Carson, and look, players try to downplay these types of matchups, but and he's already said it's a lot different. Obviously, Doug Peterson is no longer there. A lot of the players that he played with, Zach Ertz was one of his best friends on the team, no longer there. Most of the guys are no longer there that he was with. There's a couple of holdovers. Obviously, Jalen Hurts was there. And, Fletcher Cox. It's not like he's been gone 4 years now. Like, he's only been gone, 1 season, essentially. This is the second year that he's been gone from Philadelphia. But there's a lot of turnover. There's a lot of change. And it's not the same Eagles team that he once knew. But there's a lot of faces over there that are familiar. And trust me when I tell you, no matter who's there or who isn't there, he wants to beat them, okay? Make no mistake about it. That when a team trades you or they cut you and they tell you you're not good enough, you definitely want to be able to stick it to that team. So trust me when I tell you, he wants this game, and he wants it bad. And he's not gonna say he wants it publicly, But I guarantee you, if they win this game, he's already gotten a game ball. He's going to get another game ball, especially if he plays well, because this is about getting this one for Carson, just like it was about getting the first one for Ron. And I know Ron wanted to beat Carolina last year or the year before in 2020 when we lost. But you're damn right Ron wanted to beat Carolina last year, because it's different when you go back. So this one is the first time he'll encounter Philly. It'll really hit home when he goes to Philadelphia week 10. But he definitely wants to beat the Eagles. And he kind of said it, but he didn't say it. Because, you know, you want to downplay it. It's just another game. Once the ball's kicked off, it'll just be another football game. You say all the cliche stuff that you're supposed to say. But deep down inside, he wants this one. And they know how bad he wants this one. And they're going to try to go get it for him. And hopefully they're able to do exactly that. So with this, let's go to the ticket portion of the show. And I want to give away the ticket. So let's see if I can get this done. Let's see, share the screen here. Chrome tab. Now, I got to set all of this stuff up. So bear with me. I should have done this beforehand, but no time like the present. So I'm going to set this up so that we can get to the brass tacks of this. And so we've got the link copied there. I'll go ahead and throw that in the box here. Control. All right. Now we're going to add in our filters. All right. Hashtag stop 2. All right. And now we are going to get to it. We're going to do 2 just like we did last time. All right. And the first one that we do, and I'm going to go ahead and make it so you can see it. So the first one that we do is going to be the winner. Okay. So let me state this right now. If you win, you have 3 different ways to contact me. You have 48 hours to contact me. Okay. So if I don't hear from you by the close of business on Friday, I'm going to start contacting winner number 2. If you're winner number 2 of the drawing, send me your information. Okay. Let's get to it so that if the person doesn't respond, like we had the situation in week 1, I've already got all the information I need from you and we can proceed. Okay. I'm not tracking anybody down. There were other people who hit me up, was like, look, if you don't have anybody to give the tickets to, please, people were begging me, please give me the tickets. I'm giving these tickets to somebody. Okay. If you won them fair and square, please come and get your tickets. Okay. Enjoy the experience, but most importantly, bring home the dub. All right. So IG, okay, is number 3 of all the options. I'd prefer you to DM me on Twitter. That is number 1. Number 2 is email me, LouieTeeNetwork@gmail.com. Number 1 is DM me on Twitter. If you don't have Twitter, hit me up on IG. You've probably got one of those 2 social media outlets. If you don't have any of them, guess what? You've got an email. That's how you have a YouTube account. So email me and give me the information that I need. All right. And so all I'm going to ultimately need is your email, but I want to make sure it's you. I have to make sure everything is legit so we can have running dialogue and get everything squared away, and I can get you everything, because my tickets include parking passes, a gold pass. So, there's a lot that comes with it. So good luck to all of you who are in the entry. And again, if you win the first one, you're the winner. The second person is the runner-up, and that's the person who will be on standby in case the first person who won doesn't claim the 2 tickets. So enough talking. Good luck to all. Here we go. Metaphor, you're the winner. Congratulations. I know you're watching, so hit me up. We've already got a running dialogue. DM me on Twitter, and so you can get these tickets. All right. And the second winner, future millionaire. And I can tell you this, unless Metaphor can't make it, and he probably wouldn't have used the hashtag if he couldn't, he's going to hit me up for the tickets. Okay. But future millionaire, in the event that Metaphor can't make it or doesn't want to go, you're going to be next up in line to get the tickets. Future millionaire. So, and I think you might even be a season ticket holder, if I'm not mistaken, because you donated tickets in week 1 that I was able to give away. So anyway, I digress. Thank you to all who use the hashtag stop2. And we'll be doing this all season long. Week 5 will be the next opportunity against the Tennessee Titans. So Metaphor, congratulations. Hit me up, DM me on Twitter, and we can get all of the particulars out of the way. So with that said, let's transition to our next segment and a first look at the Philadelphia Eagles. So a lot of you were really impressed with the Eagles on Monday. I mean, to the point where I'm reading comments of people talking about how badly we're going to get blown out. Jack Del Rio's going to be fired after the game. Oh my God, the Eagles are going to kill us. I was so disappointed with a lot of I was disappointed in a lot of the. I'm trying to find a nice way. I'm not going to say what I want to say. I was disappointed in a lot of the jock riding that I saw from a lot of the Washington fans, because it would have been one thing if the Eagles did what the Bills did to the Titans, to the Vikings, but they didn't. I was talking to my dad, because I just, my dad is my voice of reason. So I had to hit Boss up to make sure I wasn't tripping. Because Boss would tell me, no, you tripping. they look dominant. And I hit Boss up and I was like, hey, Boss, am I tripping? Because I didn't walk away from that Eagles game overly impressed. I thought they played well, but I didn't walk away from that saying, oh shit, we in trouble. And he's like, nah, yeah, I wasn't. He said, I wasn't impressed at all. Okay. I wasn't impressed at all. He said they were okay, but they can be beaten. He said, Minnesota had so many damn opportunities, it ain't even funny. I said, okay, I'm not tripping. I watched the same game, because a lot of fans didn't watch the same game that I watched. Because if you watch the same game I watched, the Vikings could have easily have won that football game. Now, again, if the score, changes, maybe the Eagles' level of urgency changes. I kind of felt like they were kind of going through a malaise, but trust me, they wanted to stick it to Minnesota. They wanted to score 40. They just couldn't. They couldn't, for whatever reason. Block field goal, interception that hurts through, whatever the case may be, they just couldn't. But the Vikings had opportunities in that game, ample opportunities. So I was amazed at how many Washington fans were just like, it's almost like they watched the first half, they didn't watch the second half, and they was like, oh my God, the Eagles are going to kill us. I don't feel that way. I can tell you this, their offense poses a lot of problems for us. But their defense is so simplistic. Like that shit they did against Minnesota, if that's the best they got, we going to eat that shit alive. They don't get a ton of pressure on the quarterback, okay? Not like they used to. Their linebackers, they're all right. And their secondary is solid, but they don't do anything extravagant back there, okay? And we're not Minnesota. Their one receiver is better than any receiver we have on our team. Facts. Justin Jefferson might be the best receiver in the entire league. But we don't feature just one dude. That's why we're so hard to stop. Minnesota's not as hard to stop. Why? Because their offense revolves around the success of the run game and Justin Jefferson. And if you shut either one of them down, you got their offense bottled up. They shut both of them down. You can't do that shit to us. Because we've already shown you we can score without the run game. We've been doing that for years, actually. Okay? But we would like to run the football. I think we can run the football somewhat successful against the Eagles to stay somewhat balanced. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that we're going to be able to ram it down their throat, because that's not who we are. And that's not what we've shown this season. But I think we can run it enough to stay semi-balanced, stay out of third and longs. But more importantly, when it's time to convert on third down, I think we can convert on third down against the Eagles. And I dare them to blitz. Their coordinator already doesn't like to blitz. He blitzed like 5 times, and Eagles fans lost their minds on Monday night. I dare him to blitz. I dare him to blitz and give us some one-on-ones across the board so we can eat their ass alive. Our offense is ready to compete. I don't know. I can't say the same for our defense, but I mean, so many people, it's amazing too. Like, Jalen Hurts is a good dude, man. He's easy to root for. So I think a lot of people want to see Jalen Hurts succeed because there's been so much said about him and people are dismissing him. Guilty as charged. I'm one of them. And I think a lot of people want to see Jalen Hurts stick it to everyone because he's a hard worker. He doesn't complain. He just, he just goes about his business, human-like. And people can get behind a guy that just does it the right way. And Jalen Hurts is the epitome of, I mean, it goes all the way back to when he was at Alabama. He could have transferred. He didn't. Tua took his job. He stayed there and ended up coming in the SEC championship game and was the hero. And that resonates with people. Nick Saban was about to cry talking about Jalen Hurts and what he meant to the program at that time. He's a good dude. I told you, if he didn't play for the Eagles, I'd be rooting for Jalen Hurts. It's easy to get behind him. However, I still look at Jalen Hurts and I still see a guy, and he was not under any duress. My dad, that's something else boss said. Like, they didn't put any pressure on him. He was under no duress. He got to do whatever the hell he wanted to do when he wanted to do it. He got to create the terms at which the Eagles offense ran. The Vikings dictated nothing to him. There was limited pressure. When he ran, there was nobody around him. When he decided to throw, there was no one around his receivers. He was throwing to open receivers all night long like it was 7-on-7. I can tell you this much. Our defense is giving up a lot of shit this year. Our defense is going to give up a lot more shit this year, okay? The one thing I can say about our defense this year versus last year is that I don't see guys standing like I did on Monday night in that game against Minnesota. I don't see open receivers standing with no defender within 3 yards in a radius around them. I haven't seen that from us. We've got defenders in the vicinity. We're trying to knock balls down. We don't always knock them down, but we got guys in the vicinity. Now, are we capable of blowing a coverage? You're damn right. We've done that multiple times this season already. So it can be done. But as far as you running some simple shit, our guys have done a pretty good job of being where they're supposed to be and having a chance. That's why we're giving up third downs at a 28% clip right now. he's gonna be under more pressure in this game, not necessarily from a pass rush standpoint, but I'm talking about having to make tighter window throws. Maybe having to take off because shit is crumbling around him. That Vikings defense was weak on Monday. I was disappointed. That shit was weak. He had all day to throw. When he did throw, guys were wide ass open. When he decided to tuck it and run, they couldn't tackle. He's bouncing off of dudes, running for touchdowns, dragging 5 defenders into the end zone. Yeah, I know he squats a small house. I'm aware. Get his ass on the goddamn ground. Well, you say what you want about Cole Holcomb, but when Trevor Lawrence's ass decided he wanted to tuck that bitch and run, Cole Holcomb kindly escorted his ass out of bounds. We hitting over here. So we'll see how this shit goes for Jalen Hurts. I think in this game, and I actually thought the Lions did a pretty good job of containing him as a passer. They sucked in containing him as a runner. That could be a problem for us too. We've never dealt well with mobile quarterbacks. That's something that we've always struggled with. I hope now, with all the team speed defensively that we now have, that we'll be somewhat better. I know that they deterred Trevor Lawrence relatively early in week 1. They tried that read option shit one time. We shut it down. They scrapped it. They're not going to stop running Jalen Hurts because we have one good play against him. They're going to keep running Jalen Hurts, and their offense is hard to defend because everything is RPO essentially. It's a run pass option, and that's hard to defend. You don't respond to the run, they run the shit. You respond to the run, he pulls it out, there's a tight end running up the seam wide open. I get it. It's not going to be easy, but it's doable. And you don't have to make all the plays. You just got to make 1 or 2. They're driving the football. You just got to make 1 or 2 plays. A deflection here, a sack there, him run for 2 yards and have to slide on 2nd and 9. Now it's 3rd and 7. Just little things. But you got to be disciplined. Got to be disciplined. That defense, very vulnerable. Very, very vulnerable. There's a reason the Lions scored 35 points, okay? This Eagles defense, don't fool yourself into thinking it's dominant. The Vikings had opportunities, okay? Plenty of them. Irv Smith Jr. dropped the touchdown pass. I dare you to give Terry, Jahan, or Curtis that same opportunity. They won't drop the shit. They got inside the Eagles' 25-yard line 3 different times, inside the 15 twice, and Kirk threw interceptions. I'm not saying that we're absolved from doing some foolishness, but right now we're 5 of 5 in the red zone. You let us in that bitch, we taking it all the way to pay dirt, okay? I like our chances against their defense. Where I worry is our defense against their offense, but again, you ain't got to make but a handful of plays to give yourself a chance. We'll dig into this more, man. There's so many layers. There's so many different things I can get into, matchups, things of that nature. There's games within the game, but this is just a little bit to whet your palate. It's a big one, man. To date, this is the biggest game of the season. That's not saying much. We played Jacksonville and Detroit in respective weeks. First time we've played in the division. It's at home, and it's the team that right now probably is the odds-on favorite with the injury to Dak Prescott, probably the odds-on favorite to win the division. And I don't know if you peep game, but the odds on Jalen Hurts being the league MVP have increased. I'm ready to put that shit to bed on Sunday. League MVP? Jalen Hurts? Shit must come to an end. It must stop. Why not have it stop with us? I don't know. Stop asking. Anyway, I digress. Let's get to social media maneuvers. I'm a midnight marauder. All right. See what you guys have to say. All right. And if you don't have much to say, we'll get out of here. All right. Got a super chat here from the Booty Creek Cheek Freak. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, the way people are overreacting, you would think it's week 15 and we only won 3 games. Exactly. I've had to remind people several times that it's week 3 and we're 1-1. We're not 0-2. We're not pressing the panic button like, the Bengals or the Colts, or one of these 0-2 teams are. The Panthers. We're not one of those teams. We actually got to win. We're fine. But I told you, I think the overreaction comes from losing to the Lions, which is why I talked about that at the beginning of the show, that's a psyche, that's a mental thing that maybe you have to look at it from a different perspective. Maybe the Lions aren't the lovable loser Lions anymore. Maybe they're actually getting better and they're ready to take that next step. And they weren't a pushover last year. I mean, the fact that they were in 7 or 8 ball games that were decided by 7 points or less tells you that they weren't a pushover last year. They just didn't know how to win those games. And they didn't score a lot of points last season. They're scoring points now. So they're a different team. And then I think when you see an opportunity to be different and you want it so bad, you want to reach out and grab it, and then you lose in the manner that we did, being down 22 points, it sends everyone back to, oh, here we go again. Nothing's going to change. We're going to be the same old garbage Washington, organization, Redskins, football team, Commanders, you call them whatever the hell you want. We're still going to suck. As long as Daniel Snyder, you'll start to get that shit. As long as Daniel Snyder's the owner, nothing's going to change here. And that's fine. Because I do think there's a little bit to, if you really want wholesale changes, it starts at the top. But we can't control that. All we can try to do is go out and get a victory on Sunday. And it's only week 3. And I've said this, you've heard this other places, I'm pretty sure, because this is not new news and this isn't something unique that I'm telling you. This is common knowledge. Ron Rivera coached teams usually start off slow, and as the season progresses, they get better. And that's been the case here, and that's the narrative that we're trying to change this season, is that we don't have to start slow. That's not a requisite to then have success later. You can start the season off modestly, or you can start fast, and you can continue to get better as the season goes on. You don't have to dig yourself a 4 or 5 game hole to dig out of later on in the season, and try as you might, you never fully quite get out of that hole, which is what we've done the first 2 years with Ron. Let's start off faster. Winning in week 1 was a step towards that. Losing in week 2 felt like a step back. But maybe that's a step back for a massive comeback in week 3. There are opportunities in front of us, 1 game at a time. 1 game at a time. So, yeah, for some, it feels like the end of the world. I've even seen someone say, oh, we suck again. Looks like we'll go 3-14 this season. I've seen that like 2 or 3 times. God bless those people. Take command for life. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes, I'll be at the Eagles game. I'm excited. Why not us? Why not? I mean, we ask that every week. Why not us? And, some weeks we prove why not us, and we explain why not us. Last week against the Lions, we showed why not us. The week prior to that against Jacksonville, why not us? We found a way to get it done. It wasn't pretty. We made mistakes, but we overcame those mistakes and we got a win. Why not us in week 3? I like it. You know what to do. I don't have to tell you. You know what your goal is. You got 1 mission. Carry it out. Matthew, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Matthew writes, who guards Smith and Brown? We have no pass rush. So Smith and Brown are good receivers, really good receivers. But it's collectively as a unit. Like they may get some one-on-one, they may get some man-to-man, but we play a bunch of zone as well. Like it's not just one guy's job. Like William Jackson III isn't following AJ Brown around the field. AJ Brown's going to line up outside. AJ Brown's going to line up in the slot. Everybody's going to get a piece of the action. Okay. At the end of the day, it's collectively as a unit is what's going to determine how this goes. Okay. That's what's going to ultimately determine how this goes. Can we get to the quarterback? Can we keep Jalen Hurts in the pocket? Can we make him uncomfortable? Can we put him under some sort of duress? Can we make the windows tight that he has to throw in? Maybe he forces one, we tip it in the air and it gets picked off. Anything can happen. But you got to make your breaks in this league. But to make it seem like, oh, we got to cover these guys one-on-one and that's what it's going to be. It's collectively, defensively, can we get the job done as a unit? Can we play 11 guys on one accord playing together harmoniously? That's what's been missing in Washington. It's been 10 guys on the same page, one guy doing his own thing. It's 8 guys doing the right thing, 4 guys out in la-la land. Everybody seems to get the call, but there's one guy that just seems to think we're playing, cover 3, and we're actually playing some form of quarters coverage, and somebody's lost in the sauce. All it takes is one guy to not do his job. Can we get all 11 guys doing their job at the same time? If we can, we got a chance. Metaphor, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, and congratulations on winning the tickets. He writes, yo, Philly, how do you want it? How does it feel? 38-31. I hate that we would have to win games this way, but that may be the reality of our season. We may have to win 38-31 shootouts. Okay. We may have to win 34-30 on a weekly basis. We'll see. But I think in order to win this one, yeah, we're going to have to get to the 30s. I can't see a way in which we win this game without scoring 30 unless it's 29 and we beat them 29-27 or something like that. I think you're going to have to get into the 30s to beat the Eagles in this game, to be honest with you. So, yeah, we'll see. John Perez, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, my guy. JP writes, J.1 looks like a keeper already. Offensive rookie of the year, perhaps. I mean, he's in the mix. I mean, it's a lot of football to go, man. Anything can happen. It's impossible to project that right now, but he's definitely in the mix. In 2 games, he's got 3 touchdown grabs and a 2-point conversion. So he's definitely making his presence felt on this football team and having a massive impact. He's leading all rookies in receiving touchdowns. So yeah, he's definitely in the mix. We knew the guy was good when we drafted him. That was never a question. It was just, how good is he? And you're seeing sky's the limit for this dude. Sky's the limit. All right. Metaphor, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. My guy, Metaphor, writes, is everybody on super chat strike because we lost? No, man. That's if they don't have anything to say or they just want to comment amongst their peers, that's okay, dude. Like, you don't have to force people to super chat, man. It's about bringing everybody together at the end of the day. And coincidence, and to your point, honestly, it goes both ways because people are pissed off when we lose, and they have just as much, if not more, to say when we lose than when we win. So it goes both ways. I think you get less chatter when people are less confident. There aren't a lot of confident fans right now. I'm standing out on a limb. I'm not by myself. There are others that are still positive, that think we can win. But there are a lot more fans in our circle, okay? In our little bubble that we have here and that we've created on the Louie T Network. There are a lot more people that think we're going to get our doors blown off in this game than they do think we're going to win. So we're in the minority. Those of us who think that we're going to beat Philadelphia, we're in the minority, which is fine, which is absolutely fine. Tony P56, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Tony P56 writes, need this dub so I can gloat to my Eagle supervisor. I need this dub so I can just be really excited about beating the Eagles. And no matter what happens the remainder of the season, we got one. There's nothing worse than getting swept by a divisional opponent. Because when I link up with the Super Friends, I got to hear that shit. You know, when Eagles fans want to come into the comment section and try to take over, you can shoot their ass away. Hey, didn't we beat y'all? Get the hell out of my face. When you don't win, you make it easy for others to put a target on your back and have target practice. So, you know what's the best thing to do? Get the first one. Get it out of the way. Now you're playing with house money when we go to Philadelphia in week 11. Or is it week 10? It's week 10. Now you're playing with house money in week 10. Don't put yourself in a position where you need that one to avoid a sweep, because that one's going to be raucous. That one's going to be on Monday night. Eagles fans are going to make sure they go out of their way to give Carson Wentz a very warm welcome. And mentally, I don't know how he's going to deal with that. I'd like to think that hopefully we'll be obviously a lot further in the season, but hopefully we'll be winning games and we'll be a confident bunch by then. But if we're kind of trying to still figure some shit out, we're 4-5 going into that game, and we're still trying to figure shit out, could get ugly in Philadelphia, you know? So it'd be nice to get the first one. And I've already said, I'm trying to be petty this year. Oh, I got some shit, man, lined up. They better beat our ass one of these games. Don't let us sweep them, because the pettiness will not end until I decide it's over. So, can't win two without winning one first. Let's see. Take command for life. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Take command for life. Who writes, section 141, see you there. So he's telling you where he's going to be at. Y'all link up. I don't know where exactly my tickets are. They're in the 100 section somewhere. I don't know exactly where, though. I'd be lying to you if I told you I knew. Anyway, I digress. I love to hear stories of y'all linking up. Y'all always be telling me about, you know, going to the game and seeing each other. I know one of the stories from the last game was Luck had it lit, you know. So anyway, Metaphor, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Metaphor writes, thank you, Lou. Thank you, Mob. I feel like Miss America. I won. I won. I'm going to bring home the dub to the Mob and the Cherry Squad. That's all we want to hear, man. That's all we want to hear, Metaphor. Bring it home, bro. Bring it home. Let's see. Landry Baldwin, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy Landry writes, our offense is legit, Louie. It is. And that's the thing that continues to provide me with hope. Is I can't stress this enough. And I've said this at least 3 times. I said it after the game Sunday. I said it again on the show on Monday. I said it on yesterday's show, and I'm saying it again today. We've scored 28 and 27 respectively in each of the first 2 games, with only having played offense in a efficient and consistent manner for 2 quarters in those first 2 games. the first and the fourth quarter against Jacksonville, and the third and the fourth quarter against Detroit. And in that stretch, we scored 28 and 27. So if we actually put it together for 4 quarters, why can't we score 34, 38, 41? I can't speak for you guys. But when I was watching the Lions game live as it was happening, as we're coming back in that game, and I remember being in the MOBB telling those guys and all the members of the mob how disappointed I was in the first half. But I remember at the very end of the first half, I told them, we just need one possession and we're back in this game. One possession. And I remember Derek B jumped down my throat, was like, one possession? We don't even have a first down. And he was right. But I said, we get the ball after half. If we could score even a field goal before halftime, which we didn't, we get the ball after half, we score a touchdown, boom, we're right back in this thing. But we didn't do that. But what did we do? First possession, out of the gates, third quarter, march right down, scored a touchdown. And from that point on, I was like, I don't think they can stop us. And what happened? They didn't. We stopped ourselves when Wentz threw it high to Logan Thomas over the middle of the field and it got picked. And that was it. We scored on every other possession except the final possession of the game when the game was no longer in the balance. And we were down 9 with no timeouts and the game was already over. But I had this sense of, oh, they can't stop us. It didn't matter if it was 3rd and 7, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 9. Hey, we converting this. They can't stop us. It didn't matter if he was throwing it to Terry, Jahan, Curtis, or Logan, or J.D. McKissick. They can't stop us. Did you ever get that sense in the Lions game? Because I did. After we scored that first touchdown, I said, all right, shit's on. If the defense could just get us a stop. And they did. I said, shit is on. And what did we do? We went down the field, threw a pick. I said, all right, defense. And I might have jinxed us. Because I said, all right, defense, I ain't going to ask you for shit else the remainder of the game. I just need one more stop. Just give me one more chance after the interception. And what did they do? They got to stop. And then we went right back down the field. And this time we got in the end zone. We went for 2. We cut it to a 7-point deficit. And then the defense proceeded to throw up all over themselves for the remainder of the game. They pissed down their leg. But the offense came back every single time. Every single time. And in my mind, I'm like, they can't stop us. We were doing whatever we wanted to do. When Scott finally got in his bag, he rolling Carson Wentz out to the left, throwing all the way back to his right. We got Terry running a deep over route. Terry's digging this shit out of the ground. We got Curtis getting matched up with a defensive end. Oh, you know we're going to eat on that. Touchdown. Again, there's only so much you can do. Yeah, Landry, our offense is legit. Feel damn good about it. All right. Landry Baldwin, thank you for the super chat once again. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Landry, who writes, our running game is suffering. We need B-Rob bad. Our run game is suffering. All right. But it's not like we've seen our run game be worse. Throughout the entire Jay Gruden administration, our run game was as bad as it gets. We were one of the worst rushing teams in football. All we ran was duo up front. It was terrible. Our run game right now isn't great, but I think it can be what we need it to be until we get Brian Robinson back. And I don't want y'all putting too much on Brian Robinson, on his return. I don't want y'all to hype this thing up into something that it's not, and then he comes back and you're disappointed. Like, let this man heal. Let him come back. Hopefully when he comes back, he makes a massive difference in the run game. I think he'll be a difference maker to an extent, but I think we can get it done in the run game with what we have and what we have up front. I think personally, J.D. McKissic needs a little bit more, run as a running back. I think that they need to run inside more. Stop trying to get to the edges as much. I think so much of what they want to do is get outside, especially because Antonio Gibson is such a talent. But I think they got to stick with trying to go in between the tackles a little bit more. Get up the field and get what you can get. A lot of times when we lose yards or it's a no gain, it's when we try to get wide, when we try to go outside. I would like to see them spread the defense out and run more. I would like to see them come out, empty set, motion Curtis Samuel, motion Antonio Gibson, motion J.D. McKissic into the backfield. Now you got 4 receivers out here. They're spread out. Now you got numbers. Run it. You should have a light box. Run it. Like, they got to get more creative. We're not a line up and put your dick in the dirt type of offense in terms of running the football. That's not who we are. That's never going to be who we are. So you got to get creative. I watch these teams around the league get creative with their run game. Spread your ass out. Fake the little, pump the little quick game. Draw. Gain of 7. Get him a little action. Like, that jet sweep we ran with Terry, that shit shouldn't be just when I need it on 4th down, we're going to pull this out of the hat. No, that's a part of our run game. Get the ball to the receivers in the run game too. We got to manufacture yards on the ground. I don't give a shit who they come from. JD, Antonio, Terry, Curtis, Jahan, I don't care. Hell, I don't care if you give a carry to the damn tight end. I don't know why I can't think of his name. Not Logan Thomas and not John Bates. The other one. Amani Rodgers. I don't care if you give a carry to Amani Rodgers. They'll never be expecting it. They'll never be looking for it. Send him in motion and send him in short motion and then just turn around and boop. Hand him the rock. He take off running. Be creative. That's all I'm saying. I think we can run it enough. We don't have to run it exceptionally well. We just have to run it enough so that we avoid 3rd and 9 and 3rd and 11. That's the shit that was happening against Detroit. You throw it on 1st down, it's incomplete, or he gets sacked. Now it's 2nd and long. You still try to run it anyway, and you get 1 or 2 yards. And now it's 3rd and 11. Now it's 3rd and 9. Now it's 3rd and 8. Let's see. Joey Rollins, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy Joey writes, did people forget we played them tough twice last year and we have an offense that can compete this year? Blows my mind. Hashtag HTTC. But also keep in mind they're a different team now too. They have A.J. Brown. So they're different. They're not the same Eagles that we saw last year twice. But yes, that's a thing. Like this is what people fail to realize. People just look at the Eagles or they look at other teams and they think, oh my God, it's family business, man. Throw all that shit out the window. I don't give a shit what they did against Detroit. I don't care what they did against Minnesota. That ain't us. That's not a family member. I know those boys. I play them twice every year. So it ain't shit they gonna show us that we ain't seen before, offensively or defensively. Is can we out execute them? One of the things Carson Wentz said at his press conference. He's like, yeah, the Eagles, they're pretty basic on defense. Okay, they're not going to throw too many things we haven't seen from them. We just got to go out and execute. Facts. That's what family business is all about. It ain't too many things, too many wrinkles they're going to show us. They're going to run that same RPO. They're going to run a couple of read options. He's going to keep a couple of those bitches. We better be at home or he's going to run that shit down our throats. He's going to pull a couple of those RPOs out. He's going to hit a couple of shots up the seam to Dallas Goedert, to A.J. Brown. Yeah, he's going to have some open receivers from here from time to time. We expect that. That's a part of the Eagles' offense. But we'll also have our opportunities to get after his ass. We'll have our opportunities to sack him, to force him into an errant throw and maybe pick him off. We'll have opportunities. Will we take advantage of those opportunities? I can't say. But it's family business. It's family business. That's why I love it. Throw the records out the window. I don't give a shit what they did last week or the week before. I don't care what we did the week before or the week before that. All that matters is we playing a divisional opponent. Time to go to work. Christopher Richardson, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you once again, Christopher Richardson. Jalen Squirts, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, can we forfeit now? I'm on the toilet. Scared as F. Well, guess what? I'll be here after the game on Sunday. And either you guys will be saying, I told you so, Louie, or I'll be saying, I told y'all so. Either way, someone will be saying, I told you so. Let's hope it's me, because that means we won. If it's you, then we're 1-2 and on to Dallas. So we'll see. It's okay to be scared. But this is what Jack Del Rio says. I tend to agree with this. We don't fear anybody. We respect everyone. All right. We fear no one. Respect everyone. I don't fear the Philadelphia Eagles or Jalen Hurts. I don't fear their offense. Damn sure not afraid of their defense. I respect them. I respect what Jalen Hurts brings to the table. You saw it on display on Monday when he's clicking, when that offense is going and he's got the dual threat thing going and he's got the access to run. Nobody's covering his receivers. He can be nasty. But that ain't the shit he going to get this week. I mean, defensively, I'm not trying to make it seem like our defense is good, but I can tell you our shit looks better than what Minnesota put out there. I can tell you that much. We'll see. All right. Let's see. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, my guy. Big Money Sonny. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Writes, Lou, Sonny, Eagles fans talking greasy. They need to shut the F up. We violating them cheeks on Sunday. No pause. P.S. I made Bad Dog say, double up, You told me you did that before. You know, Bad Dog's a good sport, man. So, you know, he gonna do it. This is why it is a must that we win one of these games against the Eagles, preferably this one, because I want to play with house money on Monday night in week number 10. But this is why we got to win. For all the Eagles fans that like to come infiltrate the chat, talk infinite amounts of shit. For all the Eagle fans that think, oh, they asked, we're going to take care of business. For all the ignorant, it's some good Eagle fans too. It's some good ones, but it's more ignorant ones than there are good ones. So I don't have a problem with the good ones. It's the ignorant ones that I gotta shut up. Those are the ones where I'm like, yeah, the pettiness, this for you. So yeah, we gotta show up. I like the spot that we're in, because you know what? Ain't no pressure on us. Ain't no pressure on us. Nobody, even our own fans don't expect us to win. Ain't no pressure. Go in here and play loose, man. All right? Go out here and play loose, man. Get up, get down, get funky, get loose. That's what we about to do, man. We ain't got no pressure on us. We ain't supposed to beat the Eagles. You saw what they did to the Vikings on Monday night? Oh, my God. Washington? Oh, they about to kill them. Okay. That's fine. Clapping Eagle cheeks all week. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes. Let them know, Lou. I'll clap all these Eagle cheeks. Y'all in these Eagle cheeks. They're clapping these cheeks. Y'all funny as hell. B Harris 757. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. B Harris 757 writes, what up, Lou? I'm in that BI Sunday, bringing home the dub. I ain't scared of the Eagles, but pray for me and my girl, an Eagles fan. And Lord, that's going to be a long ride home if they come out tripping. Yeah, bro, that's tough. How did you even allow that to happen? That's, I guess I can see, because I converted my wife into a Washington fan. When I first met her, she was a Cowboys fan, but she can't stand. She couldn't. When I met her, she couldn't stand Jerry Jones. And then the Colin Kaepernick thing happened, and Jerry was outspoken about how his players would never take a knee, and that she lost it after that. So I was able to recruit her and bring her over to the good side. She was on the dark side, but I can see how that could happen. That's rough though, man. So what you're essentially saying is, hey, they got to get it for you bad, because yeah, that's gonna be tough if you got to hear her up until week 10. You can't say nothing. You can't say nothing. Hey, speaking of your girl, and did y'all see the video on social media of the dude that's a Bears fan and his girl? So he was watching the Sunday night. I mean, the dude was decked out, had the Bears cap, Bears jacket, Fields jersey on underneath the jacket. I mean, my man was going ham. All right, standing in front of the television, they getting mopped, and like he was doing too much though, because he had a little tear coming. He had to wipe his shit a little bit. Like, you can't be crying over no week 2 regular season game, bro. Grow up, all right. And the dude 22 years old, so ain't no excuses for that shit, all right. But anyway, his girl is recording him on the phone, and he's like, "What I tell you? Don't talk to me when we losing. Leave me alone." And she's like, why is you acting like that? Why is you? First of all, females don't be understanding the seriousness of these situations. All right. But he was like, I told you, leave me alone. And she's like, why is you acting like that? I told you y'all was gonna lose. First of all, don't say that shit to me. Okay. Don't come over here pouring salt in the wound while we over here getting mocked. Okay. Because you liable to get cussed out, and I don't even want to do you like that. So she kept pushing him and prodding him and poking him. And he said, and she was like, why is you crying? You don't even cry over me. And he looked at her and with the most serious face, I'm talking about, and he was dead ass. He said, cuz I've known them my entire life for 22 years. I only known you for 2 months. She ain't say nothing else. And that was the end of the video. He said, win, lose, or draw, I ride with them. You didn't have to get that. You didn't need that smoke. You asked for that smoke. I don't want you to have to go through that in the car, bro. I don't. So I'm gonna tell the fellas. I'm gonna get on the hotline on the bat phone. I'm gonna hit the fellas up and be like, "Yo, my guy B needs this. Hey, bad. You hear me? You heard? He need this bad. Y'all make it happen for him. Don't leave my man out to dry like that and have to take the whole car ride home just getting it. Yeah. I got you, bro. I got you. Take command for life. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Take command for life rights. You guaranteed, Lou. Remember, I ain't forget. And on my guarantees, I've been pretty damn good on my guarantees to this point. So I feel good about that. If nothing else, I feel really good about that. So we'll see. We'll see. Ben Hanniger, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy Ben writes, maybe Scotty will get some situational awareness this week. Need to take care of family business this year. Big facts. I don't ever go into a game expecting Scotty to have the situational awareness that I expect a coach to have of his ilk. But I just hope we don't put him in situations where he's got to make a decision, because 7 times out of 10, he makes the wrong decision in those types of situations. So I hope we stay out of those situations where you're like, come on, Scott, don't do that. And he did some good things last week. Like the 4th down and 1. I thought it was going to be a quarterback sneak. It was 4th and inches, really. I thought it was going to be a quarterback sneak. That was ballsy to go jet sweep, and it was a great call. Got that with ease. Didn't even have to sweat it out. So, he did some good things in some situations, but again, there are more of the not getting a touchdown before the 2-minute warning type of situations. Your offensive line is struggling to protect early in the ball game, and you're still trying to run, long developing routes down the field. There's still a little bit of that. There's more of those than there are, oh man, that's a good call on 4th and inches. So we'll see. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. My guy, Big Money Sonny. And one more thing, Ben. You're absolutely spot on. We got to start winning these division games. I've already said you're not allowed to go and play bonus football if you can't, at a bare minimum, have a 500 record within the division. Really, you need to be over 500. No worse than 4-2 if you're serious about doing some damage. So he says, I loaded up on the penicillin from all the cheeks we clapping on Sunday. There you go again. There you go again. Miss Perry, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. You know what it is. Like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. #beat filthy. So with that, go ahead and ask y'all so kindly to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. Hit the like button. Over 500 of you out there, only 100 and some odd likes. That's embarrassing. And turn on the notification bell so you don't miss a thing. Appreciate the public service announcement. Condo P, as always, truly do appreciate you. Let's see. Christopher Richardson, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, a trade for middle linebacker 1st and 3rd to the Bears. You talking about Roquan Smith? It's not happening. They're not going to trade for a linebacker. And honestly, I wouldn't do it either. You don't give up that kind of draft capital for a guy that, look, there was the draft with Jamin Davis. There were so many linebackers, quality linebackers in that draft that they could have gotten. The best linebackers in this league right now aren't 1st-round picks, whether it's Shaq Leonard in Indy, my guy in San Francisco, there's some really good ones. Michael Parsons in Dallas, and he's not even like a true middle linebacker, but he's really good. The Packers spent the first round pick on Quay Walker out of Alabama. He looks legit, So, I mean, if you spend the first round pick, you expect to get a dog, and they may still have one in Jamin Davis. They may have one, still early in that man's career, but he's not a middle linebacker. I don't think. I think he's an outside backer, and Cole is solid. I don't think Cole's a difference maker. But you don't have to spend a first and a third on just a middle linebacker. I think you can go find your own in the draft. Do you trust? Now, the real question is, do you trust those guys to go get one? That's a separate issue. If you say no, I might even agree with you there because they haven't been able to do it to this point. Like, I want to say it was my guy, King of the North, who in the comment section said, one of the things he's so baffled by is the fact that this group hasn't been able to find a linebacker. And he said that he kind of feels like, Ron and Jack felt like they could just get anybody and clean them up, shine them up, and make them, into a stud linebacker because of their knowledge of the position. And they just haven't been able to do that. I think they looked at Jamin Davis. They saw the attributes. And they said, hey, this guy's raw, but guess what? We can turn this dude into a stud. He's 6'3", 235 pounds, long arms, ran a 4.4 40. He's got all the attributes you look for, got coverage ability. Yeah, we can work with this. We'll turn this dude into one of the best in the business. Hasn't happened yet. So I like my Jamin Davis attacking the line of scrimmage. I can't speak for you guys, but he's shown the ability to be a excellent blitzer at this point. So I'd like to see them give him more opportunities to do that, to get after the quarterback. I'd love to see him chasing Jalen Hurts, see Hurts try to run away from him. Shit ain't happening. So I'd like to see him take on a bigger role attacking the line of scrimmage versus dropping back into coverage. But you can't rush a guy and blitz him on every single snap. All right. Big Money Sonny. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, my guy. Big Money Sonny writes, run up the damn likes. It's free. Don't be cheap. Y'all heard the man. Run up the likes. All right. Red Wings 01. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes, all right, Cole Turner, show me something. Man wasn't even active last week. I think they still are trying to bring him along. At some point, I need them to take the training wheels off of Cole. Now, again, I don't know what he's showing in practice. He missed a lot of time. And obviously, Amani Rodgers supplanted him on the depth chart because of the experience that he was able to get. And they trust what he showed them in the preseason and even early on in the season. And so Cole Turner has to show them that he's ready for the opportunity. They're not going to just give it to him. But I'm dying to see what this guy can do as a receiver, So we'll see. I thought he was going to play against Detroit, and I was wrong. I talked about it last week on numerous occasions. Oh, man, Cole Turner's come back. I don't know what that means, but I'm excited. Man didn't even play, wasn't even active. So at this point now, I'll just wait till they decide, Cole is ready for action, and then we'll go from there. But I got a cold, hard dose of reality when it came to him last week. Landry Balbin, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, my guy. Landry Balbin writes, that explosive pass intended to Cam Sims, who was at fault? Did Cam run the wrong route, or was it Carson's fault? Your thoughts on John Ridgeway? That was Carson just airmailing that thing. Carson just let it rip. He didn't throw that thing in any, particular direction. He just threw it as far as he could. And obviously you saw the end result. It should have been picked off. Cam Sims didn't even know where the ball was at. It was so poorly thrown. That was on Carson. because he had the one-on-one. The safety wasn't going to, if he'd have put that ball where it needed to be to give Cam a chance to go, and that's all Cam wanted in the game. They tried to ISO Cam on Will Harris like 3 different times. And every time Carson threw the shit way too high and out of bounds and never gave him a chance. Like, give him a chance to use his size to go get the football. He never gave him a chance in the game. But yeah, that was on Carson. As far as John Ridgeway, I talked about him on the show yesterday. I really like him. I look at it as another draft pick. We had 8 draft picks in 2022. Make it 10 now, to go along with Castro Fields and John Ridgeway. That's 10 draft picks. Some young boys that you can develop that, moving forward, I think are going to be a part of this roster. I'm excited about, the 2 players that we were able to go get in Tariq Castro Fields and John Ridgeway. And Ridgeway in particular, because he's probably going to be active. He's going to be active on Sunday. And I feel a lot better about him than I did Donovan Jeter. I think this young fella could come in and actually have an impact. So I really like John Ridgeway a lot. If you want to hear a little bit more about John Ridgeway, yesterday's show, I talked about him. But to sum it up, we stole from Dallas. Dallas didn't want to cut that guy loose. They had some injuries that they didn't foresee, and they had to make a tough decision. And their hope was that they could sneak him through waivers and put him on the practice squad. And they were wrong, because not only did we put in a waiver claim, but Philadelphia put one in on him as well. And so had we not gotten him, Philadelphia would have gotten him. Dallas wasn't going to get him through waivers. So they didn't want to cut him. In today's NFL, I remember once upon a time where 5th-round picks weren't guaranteed anything. 5th-round picks weren't making teams a lot of times. Those guys were getting cut and ended up on the practice squad. 5th-round picks are damn near assured a roster spot as long as they don't stink. And John Ridgeway doesn't stink. So he was on their team, and then they had to cut him because of some of the injuries on the offensive line, quarterback, kicker, all of that stuff. And they had to activate some guys, and he got a shot here in Washington, and we need him. I'm looking forward to seeing him. Got a super chat here from iShine101. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, who writes, "It's hurt season, Louie T. Respectfully." We're going to see. He started out well. I got him, give him credit. He looked good on Monday. He played well against the Lions. He was one of my he was part of the slime gang in week 1. Him and AJ Brown were a part of the slime gang in week 1. So I know what those boys are out there doing. I watched both of the games that the Eagles have played this season. I know what they're up to. We're going to see if it's hurt season or not. A lot of football left to be played. Started off well. It ain't how you start, it's how you finish. We're going to see. Clapping Eagles cheeks all week. Thank you for the super chat. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, "You know who's going to go off this weekend, Lou?" Nah. Good try, though. Good try, though. Landry Baldwin. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Landry Baldwin, writes, "Is it just me, but JD's role is reducing a lot?" No, not necessarily. Last week, JD, I think, led the team in targets. I think last week, JD led the team in catches. JD also had, and let me check. I always say I don't have to guess anymore. All I have to do is look it up. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and track this down real quick and see what, if my memory serves me correct, JD led us in targets, and I think he led us in catches. Okay, he was 3rd on the team in targets, but he was tied for the most receiving receptions in week 2. Curtis had 9 targets, Terry had 8, and JD had 7. JD had 7 and Curtis had 7 catches. So, and then JD also had 3 carries. So he had 10 touches total. Gibson had 16 touches. So they're not that, far from each other in terms of total usage. So, no, I wouldn't say his role. And then you go back to week 1. I thought he had less of a role in week 1 than he did in week 2. And they go in those spurts. Remember last year, week 1, I cried about JD's lack of involvement and what happened in week 2. I think a lot of people did. And they overcompensated the next week, and JD was a huge part of that win against the Giants on that Thursday night. I don't think JD had a lot of touches. He had 3 carries and 3 targets in the Jacksonville game. One of them was big, though, because it was the 2-point conversion that he caught. But only 6 total touches in the first game versus Jacksonville. That was up to 10 in week 2 versus the Lions. So he's trending in the right direction. I think JD is fine. I said this, I'd like to see him touch it more personally. Give some of Antonio's carries to JD and let Antonio be more of a threat out of the backfield as a receiver. I think that's something else that they can kind of do. It's okay to put 2 running backs on the field at the same time. So I don't think it's reducing a ton. Let's see. Carlton Bacano Jackson, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy CPJ writes, thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Who writes, just showing some love, my brother. Hey, I appreciate you, CPJ. Right back at you, man. Always appreciate you. Thank you so much for the support. Let's see. 1/6 Devil Doc, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Shout out to your wife who writes, Lou, I think we will need to have a spy on Hurts on long down and distance. Also, I think we'll need to outscore Philly to win unless the D shows up. I don't think you said anything wrong. I know a lot of times defensive coordinators do not like to spy quarterbacks because you're taking a guy out of the defensive scheme, essentially. And it's almost like blitzing a guy. If you're not going to blitz that guy, if he's not going to go after the quarterback and he's just standing there, it hurts you. It's similar to offensively. If you don't need your running back in blocking or you don't need your tight end to stay in and block, but they stay in and block, it hurts you. You lose a fifth of your eligibles. You got 5 guys on any given play that can be an eligible receiver. You want all of your eligibles out in the pass route if at all possible, which is why if a running back is in as protection, if it's jet protection, a lot of times that's a 6-man protection, and that running back stays in and he quickly realizes it's only 4 guys rushing, I don't need to stay in here. He's got to get out, give the quarterback another option to get the football to. When you spy a quarterback, he cannot run. And you got a guy just wasting there, just standing there to make sure he doesn't run. But he's not doing anything in particular. So a lot of coordinators don't like to devote a defender to a quarterback because you're losing the amount of things you can do defensively and you're taking a guy essentially out of the scheme. That said, I wouldn't hesitate to do that in the red zone, where it's less space to cover. You know what I mean? You don't need to have 7 dudes in coverage just standing around. I got no problems. We get inside the 15 or so, the 10, more like the 10, inside the 10. I got no problems with you taking, a Jamin Davis or I prefer it to be one of the safeties personally, but it could be Jamin Davis or a Derek Forrest and saying, all right, do not let him, don't take Montez Sweat and make him, a spy. Like have him drop off and then kind of shadow. Let him rush. You know what I'm saying? Bring somebody else down and let them be more of a spy. I'd prefer them to do that. But, we'll see what they decide to do. And as far as the score is concerned, I do think we're going to have to score some points. I do think that is going to be mandatory. If we want to beat the Eagles, this isn't going to be 23-20. You know what I'm saying? You want to beat the Eagles, I think it's going to take probably no less than 28 points. If I could see us holding them to 27 at a bare minimum. I don't know if we can hold them any lower than that. But we'll see. We'll see. Duncan Wright, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy Duncan Wright writes, how you like Jalen now? The football gods demand you give him respect. He's been solid to start the season off. I can't knock the hustle. He's been really, really solid these first two games. I thought Detroit did some good things against him. He started that game 0-5 as a passer. He forced it to A.J. Brown a lot in that game. I think if we could do something similar to what Detroit did in week 1, but the fatal flaw of the Detroit Lions was they couldn't stop him from using his legs. We got to find a way to curtail that. You may not be able to stop it, cold turkey, but you got to be able to calm him down somewhat as a runner. If you can take away all of the options, he had way too many options against the Vikings. Everybody was open. Didn't matter who he threw the football to. Didn't matter what they did, honestly. They gave Boston Scott the ball. He came in. He got a gain of 8 or 9. They decided to run the hell is the other running back name? Miles Sanders. He got 7. They decided to throw it to Kenneth Gainwell. He got 8. They decided to push it down the field to Goddard, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, or Quez Watkins. Big gains, chunk plays. You got to take something away. He can't tuck it and run all the way down the sideline, cut back, lower the shoulder, drag 3 dudes into the end zone and score. You got to take something away. They didn't take anything away. I'm not telling you our defense is any good, but our defense it doesn't look like Minnesota's defense in that particular game. So Jalen Hurts has been solid, but I want to see him be tested. I don't think he's been tested yet. And it's not necessarily how good the defense is. It's also the score. They've been front runners this entire season. They jumped on the Eagles were trailing 7-0 against Detroit. Then they took the lead and they stayed ahead. And so he never really felt pressure. He didn't have to press. He was comfortable. They were up, if I'm not mistaken, going into the fourth quarter in 38-21. Like there was no pressure. Not until the very end of the game. And they ran the football and he didn't really have to do anything. They were up from the word go against the Vikings. They never trailed in the game. Scored on the opening possession. Vikings, I think they were down 14-0, so they never tied the game up at 7. And he was able to coast. It's not necessarily us putting pressure on him as a defense. I'm talking score, game pressure. I want to see how he reacts to that. He ain't had none of that this year yet. If one of my knocks on Kyler Murray is that he doesn't handle adversity well. Well, he showed me something against the Raiders. It wasn't pretty, but it was gritty, and most importantly, it was a dub. When his team needed him most, he stepped up. That's not something that I've been able to say about Kyler Murray a lot over his career to this point. I feel the same way about Jalen Hurts. When it's some adversity, I don't think he's handled it great in the NFL to this point. He hasn't been as bad as Kyler Murray, but he hasn't been great. I want to see some game pressure on him before I start lauding and praising him for how good he's playing. There's a lot of good front runners in this league. Lamar Jackson is one of the best front runners in the league. But part of the reason he struggles in the playoffs, ain't no front running going on in the playoffs. You got to lead your team to a victory, and it's going to be tough. I want to see what Jalen Hurts does. I think one of the first times we're going to see that this year, game pressure. We ain't letting y'all run away with shit in this game. If you beat us, it's going to be close. This ain't no blowout. I assure you of that. This will be the first time he got some game pressure on his ass. See how he handle it. All right. All right. That's the final super chat. So tomorrow's show, we'll go behind enemy lines, kind of get a little bit more intimate with the Philadelphia Eagles. And we'll get one step closer to Sunday. Look at the injury report, see who practiced, who didn't, kind of get a better sense of what we'll be going into Sunday's battle with, more like who we'll be going into battle with. And we'll hear from the coordinators tomorrow. That should be interesting, to say the least. And so much more. So I look forward to chopping it up with you guys tomorrow on CNN. And Thursday Night Football, I'll be live for that after that game. Hopefully I'll be back chopping it up with you guys on Friday for the LouieTeeNetwork podcast. And obviously I will be here post-game after the Washington-Philadelphia game. And obviously if you're a part of the member Mob Squad, you'll be watching the game together. So with that said, I appreciate everybody coming out tonight, joining me, your man Louie T, for Commanders Nightly News Live. If you haven't already done so, please take the time to hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already done so, turn on that notification bell. All right. And so we're about to get out of here. I'm feeling good. The more people doubt, not only in this fan base, but, people outside of the fan base, the more people doubt, the more people dismiss us, the more I feel good. The more I feel good about this game. Expect the unexpected when it comes to family business. That's the beauty of the Juice Weasel. Anyway, I got one more super on the way out. This is from Benjamin Collins. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Benjamin writes, I think we can beat the Eagles if our defense steps up. And I'm 6'3", Jamin Davis, far from it. I got pics on IG to prove it. Look, they measured the man. Okay, I'm just telling you what they told me. I would assume that he's a legit 6'3". If they measure you, look, most of us have played some sport, specifically football. They exaggerate your height. I was 6'2", playing football. I ain't never been an inch over 6 foot a day in my life. I'm 6 foot even. Okay. I was 6'2" for 3 years as a football player. Okay. So they do exaggerate, but once you get to the combine or pro day, they getting legit measurables on you. Okay. So if they say he's 6'3", he might be 6'2" and 3/4. He might be 6'2" and 5/8. Okay. He's not actually 6'3", but we're rounding that up. But he's not 6'1". I don't know if that's what you're insinuating. He's not 6'1". I look at Jamin Davis. He looks like he's about 6'2", 6'3". When I see him standing next to other dudes who got some size on them. But, Anyway, I digress. Thank you for the thank you for joining me tonight. I look forward to chopping it up with you guys in the future. Shout out to Metaphor. Congratulations on winning the tickets. Hit me up so I can get those to you. Everybody else, thank you for joining me. God bless and good night.
Here comes the diesel. Here comes the diesel. There's the snap, hand to Riggins. Good hold. He's got the first down to the 40. He's gone. The 35, the 30, the 20. He's gone. He's gone.